الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to this series of Friday sermon discussions brought to you by Majlis Khulam Ahmadiyya UK Tarbiyyat Department on the Blessed Friday sermons delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen Edat Arabi Rasul Aziz. I'm delighted to be joined by Murabi Silsila Hamayo Jahangir Khan Sahab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Hamayo Sahab.
Wa alaikum salam tullah.
How are you today?
I'm alright, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. If you could, give us the kind honor of giving us a summary of this recent Friday sermon.
Of course, Auzubillah Mishal Jim Rahim. So, in the Friday sermon this week, beloved Huzoor spoke about Hazrat Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu anhu, and talks about a few different battles and a few different events which took place during the wartime before the conquer of Mecca. So first Huzoor spoke about the Battle of Qurayza, and during this battle, Huzoor mentioned about how Hazrat Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu anhu and how Hazrat Umar Radhiyallahu anhu suggested something which would help the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam be listened to and help him to do preaching to other people. And they said to him that if you wear a cloak which was given to him, which was considered very beautiful for worldly standards, then people would be more inclined towards accepting Islam. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ actually accepted their suggestion, saying that he would not refuse a matter which they both agreed upon. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said that God had likened the two of them to the angels of Gabriel and Mikael, and from the prophets like Hazrat Noah alayhi salam and Hazrat Abraham alayhi salam. So that's how much he relied and listened to their advice, and he considered these two companions of his very dear to him. And that as well shows us the importance of, even if you are a leader, you should always try to listen to your team as well, and take consultation from them. And even though we know that the Holy Prophet ﷺ was someone who was guided directly by Allah the Almighty, he even then would always ask advice from his close companions. And this is something which is really important for all of us working in Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya and working in different departments. We should always try to lean on other people to get advice and try to get the best result. During that time as well, it was also very difficult because there was a very shortage of food, great shortage, and all they were eating were dates. And it said that all Muslims were sent dates for them to eat. And it was seen that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Hazrat Abu Bakr and Hazrat Umar Radhiyallahu anhuma, were eating dates. And the Prophet ﷺ said that, dates are an excellent thing to eat. So that was keeping them going. And when we talk about going into battles, or even in today's day and age, we always look forward to having pasta during the lunch break in any football tournament or any ijtima. It just fuels us up. But imagine how difficult it was in that time, mentally, that we're going into a war and all we're having to eat is a few dates to keep us going. So how that's in one way shows us the simplicity of their life, but also the reliance upon Allah the Almighty, that even no matter what the scenario was and how difficult it was against them, we see that they always came through. And that must have affected all those those Muslims who were very borderline, who didn't have much faith. They would see those things and their faith would just shoot up and become way more inclined towards this beautiful religion that had just come into their lives. And another thing as well, which shows the obedience to Khilafat, is something which is very prevalent in this year for Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, is the obedience to Huzoor. And even though we, like we talked about before, about how the Holy Prophet ﷺ would rely on his companions, there were times as well where they would give suggestions, but they would listen to the Holy Prophet ﷺ more. And whenever he would instruct something, even if it was against their own nature, they would always obey him and always follow his instruction. So one of those were the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And this Treaty of Hudaybiyah was very much against the Muslims in many ways because they were following many conditions which um, were more in favor towards the Quraysh and the Makkans. And Hazrat Umar Razilon, who, you know, someone who's had a very fiery temper and very, you know, he if something didn't make sense to him, he would be very vocal about it. And he said to the Holy Prophet, like, you know, we have the support of Allah, so we should be the ones who have those conditions in our favor, not in the Makkans' favor. Um, and then the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that, you know, I had a dream that we would one day circulate the Kaaba, but I never specified which year that would be. And so from this, they understood that maybe this wasn't supposed to be the year that it was supposed to happen. Whereas all the Muslims, they did think that. So the Holy Hazrat Umar Razilon, who after expressing his, you know, strong desire that, you know, we should change these conditions, Holy Prophet said that, you know, we have signed this treaty, and this copy of the treaty has also been sent to them as well, and this has also been signed by Hazrat Abu Bakr Razilon as well. So we can't go back upon our conditions. Later on, you know, after seeing all of this, Hazrat Umar Razilon said that he regretted raising such questions and took it upon himself to do good deeds in expiation. And that as well shows something which is so important, that sometimes we do show, you know, our view, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we can see it from the Holy Prophet Prophet's reaction that he didn't tell Hazrat Umar Razilon off in any way, but he himself realized that maybe he shouldn't have raised those concerns, and just doing that and going a step further and trying to do good deeds and trying to make up for it shows us how we should also be reacting even today. Whenever we hear an instruction, we say, you know, in any maruf decision, which is in our pledge, we should try to go in accordance to what beloved Huzoor has instructed us in whatever shape or form that is. If it's, you know, through a text message that the Markaz has sent through WhatsApp, or whenever we get an email, or whenever, you know, Sada Saab, he instructs us to do something in a particular way, we should try our best to not question it and try just to follow it. And if we do question it, and, you know, it's good to question sometimes, then, you know, we should also have this shame inside of us that why are we questioning a decision of the Khalifa? And then we should try to follow this example of Hazrat Umar Razillah Anhu, of trying to do good deeds and trying to ask forgiveness if any of those kind of situations do occur in our lives. So, you know, following these small examples, I think, you know, it's very subtle, but just understanding the personalities and the different characteristics of all of these companions and how they behaved around the Holy Prophet ﷺ is something that we can definitely adopt in our lives. And wherever we are in the world, obedience to Khilafat is done in many shapes and forms, whether it's, you know, just listening and something mentally or something which is physical. We should always try to shape our personalities around the obedience of Khilafat and always try to listen to his every instruction. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah ma Yusab. And just pointing on that theme and just pressing that a little bit more, obedience to Khilafat can only come when we hear what Khilafat has to say. So, with the blessing of MTA, you know, we have the weekly Friday sermon delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen, which is a platform for him to give us guidance. But there's also other forms of communications that we have from Huzoor, including direct communication through the medium of letters, but also there's a wonderful program produced by MTA, which is This Week with Huzoor, which is a summary of the various mulaqats and meetings that Huzoor has, albeit on a virtual environment, but people around the world, where he's asked questions and he gives his responses to those questions. Is there anything that you'd like to encourage the Khudam viewers of this show in relation to, you know, various aspects of the messages delivered by Huzoor?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be something which affects each and every khadim, whether it's, you know, advice upon how you can serve the Jamaat, or how you can, what to study and what will benefit the Jamaat, or even just general things about, Islamic jurisprudence of, what to do in certain situations. And just have a look at, all the short videos which MT are producing. You don't have to necessarily watch the whole thing. Just watch those questions which affect you. And they've done it in a very nice way, so you can just select the question which you want to listen to um, in the drop-down section of each video. So do just have a look at that, and I'm sure like the more you watch, the more interested you'll become. And it's on our phones. You can just, with a few clicks, you'll get there. So do try to listen to a few of them and see how they affect you. And if they help you, then all well and good. But Huzoor is making the effort from his side and giving so much time to so many Ahmadis around the world to ask their questions, to, help them satiate their thirst of spiritual knowledge. So we should, at the very least, click on the link and try to listen to what Huzoor is trying to tell us, because this is the time of jihad. This is the time of the Khilafat and how he's portraying and displaying his knowledge and guidance towards us. And we're so lucky to be able to reach out to him and listen to his guidance and advice. So at the very least, let's try and do that, and inshallah that will affect us in a very positive way, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah yourself for summarizing the Friday sermon. Regular viewers of this show will know that we end with the extract of the Friday sermon itself. So let's watch that now.
इसकी तफसील बयान की है हज़रत मिर्ज़ा बशीर अहमद साहब ने कुछ, और इसमें उस वाक़या का भी ज़िक्र है जो हज़रत उमर ने हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से बहस करते हुए किया था कि अगर आप अल्लाह ताला के सच्चे नबी हैं तो फिर हम यूँ नीचे लग कर बात क्यों करें। बहरहाल इसकी तफसील ये है, यानी अबू जंदल के साथ ज्यादती हो रही है, इस पर भी बात की है हज़रत उमर ने। मुसलमान ये नज़ारा देख रहे थे हज़रत अबू जंदल की ज़्यादती का, और मजहबी गैरत से उनकी आंखों में खून उतर रहा था, मगर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के सामने सहम कर खामोश थे। आखिर हज़रत उमर से ना रहा गया, वो हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के करीब आए और कांपती हुई आवाज़ में फरमाया, क्या आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम खुदा के बरहक रसूल नहीं? आपने फरमाया हाँ 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 ज़रूर हूँ। उमर ने कहा, क्या हम हक़ पर नहीं और हमारा दुश्मन बातिल पर नहीं? आपने फरमाया हाँ हाँ ज़रूर ऐसा ही है। उमर ने कहा, तो फिर हम अपने सच्चे दीन के मामले में ज़िल्लत क्यों बर्दाश्त करें? आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने हज़रत उमर की हालत को देखकर मुख्तसर अल्फाज में फरमाया, देखो उमर, मैं खुदा का रसूल हूँ और मैं खुदा की मंशा को जानता हूँ और इसके ख़िलाफ़ नहीं चल सकता, और वही मेरा मददगार है। मगर हज़रत उमर की तबीयत का तलातम लहज़ा बलहज़ा बढ़ता रहा। कहने लगे, क्या आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने हमसे ये नहीं फरमाया था कि हम बैतुल्लाह का तवाफ़ करेंगे? आपने फरमाया हाँ मैंने ज़रूर कहा था, मगर क्या मैंने ये भी कहा था कि ये तवाफ़ ज़रूर इसी साल होगा? उमर ने कहा, नहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कहा। आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, तो फिर इंतज़ार करो, तुम इंशाअल्लाह ज़रूर मक्के में दाखिल होगे और काबा का तवाफ़ करोगे। मगर इसी जोश के आलम में हज़रत उमर की तसल्ली नहीं हुई, लेकिन चूँकि हज़रत सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का ख़ास रौब था, इसलिए हज़रत उमर वहाँ से हटकर हज़रत अबू बकर के पास आए और उनके साथ भी इसी किस्म के जोश की बातें की। हज़रत अबू बकर ने भी इसी किस्म के जवाब दिए, मगर साथ ही हज़रत अबू बकर ने नसीहत के रंग में फरमाया, देखो उमर, संभल कर रहो, रसूल खुदा की रकाब पर जो हाथ में रखा है उसे ढीला ना होने दें, क्योंकि खुदा की कसम ये शख्स जिसके हाथ में हमने अपना हाथ दिया है बहरहाल सच्चा है। हज़रत उमर कहते हैं कि उस वक्त मैं अपने जोश में सारी बातें कह तो गया, मगर बाद में मुझे सख्त नदामत हुई और मैंने तौबा के रंग में इस कमज़ोरी के असर को धोने के लिए बहुत से नफली अमाल बजा लाया, यानी सदक़े किए, रोज़े रखे, नफली नमाज़ें पढ़ीं और ग़ुलाम आज़ाद किए ताकि मेरी इस कमज़ोरी का दाग धुल जाए।